Yo, what's going on guys, it's Kryptic TMG and I'm back for the second part of the GT3 car balancing after patch 3.0 on Project Cars 2 on the PS4. So yeah, remember from the first test we sort of figured out that the Audi was pretty quick, the Ferrari was probably a couple tenths down, but the other cars didn't really seem to be too close. But hopefully today some of the other cars, the last 8 cars I'm doing, hopefully they're a little bit closer and the field is a little bit more closer together than it was before the patch. But yeah, quite interesting. Some cars that were there before that were competitive or kind of competitive before, maybe not so much now, and other cars that weren't maybe are a lot closer this time. So yeah, quite interesting, so let's check it out. The first car is the Ginetta G55 GT3, which I haven't touched since the first couple months of P-Cars 1, so let's see how we managed to get on. Yeah, quite a surprise. The car not too bad. I had to sort of really stiffen the car up to stop this sort of weird bouncing that it tended to have. But yeah, I've given it a 6 out of 10 for handling. It's not too bad. I imagine it'll be pretty quick around the tighter circuits, and put in a pretty competitive time to the cars who are sort of in the midfield. But moving on to the next car, and now we have the Lamborghini. I was pretty interested to see how fast the Lamborghini would go, so let's have a look. the Lamborghini with a 45.0, which again is sort of in the mid pack. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because it does tend to understeer a little bit, and I just feel the fact that the car hasn't got a front splitter kind of limits what you can do with the setup in terms of really getting that front end to turn in. So yeah, I want it to be a bit quicker, but let's move on to the next one, and that is the McLaren 650S, which I was expecting to be pretty rapid. So let's see. And a little surprising, I mean the car felt good, but it just, I don't know, it just lacked a bit of oomph, to be honest with you. The slowest car down the straight so far. It does handle quite nice, but I'm not sure if it's just I'm just really bad in the McLaren, or it's just not as quick. But for me, it did seem to lack a bit of speed. It's probably got a lot more potential than what I'm shown, but I guess we'll have to see. But moving on to the AMG, which is a car I've always felt has been way too underrated in Project Cars 1. So let's see how fast we managed to go on this lap. That's what I'm talking about. The car seems way more competitive after the patch. I'm not sure if it's just the fact that you can go down the gears a little bit quicker, but it just feels so much better. And I'm glad I could sort of pull it towards the front, because I really feel that the AMG should be at the front, closer to the Audi and the Ferrari. So yeah, moving on to the SLS AMG, which is the older version, and normally handles like a boat. So let's see how it goes. And I obviously actually invalidated the lap right at the end there, but for the interest of the video I just kept going because it was after the last corner. It wasn't really going to gain me any significant time, but just in that instance as I got to the last corner, that pretty much tells you the story of the car. It just has understeer, and it almost feels like it's got its own sort of dead zone when you turn in. It seems to have a dead zone, but then again there was guys on the PC in the AOR GT3 Elite that were flying in this car, and maybe it's me or maybe it's after the patch, it just doesn't seem as quick. But moving on to the Nissan GTR, a car that I like and I think the best sounding GT3 of all cars, so let's see. yeah, after the latest patch, GTR feels pretty nice to drive. It turns in a lot more than you think it would. You'd think it'd sort of be like a boat, like the SLS, but surprisingly quite nice in the corners. It can get a bit spicy from the rear because of all the torque, but still quite a nice car. And again, it's sort of in that midfield battle around this track. So moving on to the next car, and a car that I was very interested in doing, which was the Porsche 911 GT3, and let's see how this car goes. And I definitely don't think I got everything I could out of the car. It handles so well, it's got amazing traction. It does have a little tendency to just understeer a little bit on power, but it's a really nice car to drive, and probably much improved, and I'd say it could probably be up there with the Audi and the Ferrari easily. But moving on quickly to wrap this up, it's the Renault RS01, and I was interested to test this car because a lot of people are saying that this car has been much improved, so let's test it and see right now. And yeah, I have to say the Renault RS01 is definitely the most probably the easiest to drive. The handling is crazy, the grip you get is crazy. It's pretty much glued to the racing track. For me, it's the best handling car just because of how much grip you get. But obviously you've got the 7 gears that you have to contend with if you're not used to that. But yeah, it's definitely a quick car, and definitely I think can challenge. So for me at the moment, I would say the Audi, the Ferrari, Porsche, AMG, Renault RS01, they can all pretty much challenge each other, I would say. I think the AMG has got a lot of scope because it's got so many points you can change in the setup. So yeah, it's about 4 or 5 cars, which is pretty much what everybody wanted. I'd like to see the Bentley and the Lamborghini up there as well. But yeah, that's been the test. Let me know if you want me to run another one, perhaps on a different track and some different conditions, and I can do that for you guys. And other than that, yeah, Kryptic TMG, like and subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and peace.